within UFO circles by UFO nutters, but we're hearing this from credible senior level government and military officials that are all basically telling us the same story. And to what end? Why would they lie?
So who are the officials that you attach most credibility to by reputation, who you think have said interesting things in recent months?
I would have to say Chris Mellon.
Christopher Mellon was a very senior official, a Deputy Assistant Secretary in the United States Department of Defense in the Clinton and Bush administrations.
Have you heard about the Stevensville incident around George Bush's ranch?
But more recently, he emerged as the source who released to the New York Times those now famous videos.
So let's go through it very carefully. Are these objects intelligently controlled?
Some of them clearly are, yeah.
Could they be Russian, Chinese, or any other adversary?
Conceivably, we're entertaining that possibility, sure.
What do you think?
The problem with that is that in some cases the performance of these vehicles is so extraordinary, it's so radical that we don't understand how it's possible even. And so it's difficult for us to imagine how our terrestrial rivals could master that kind of technology.
In April last year, here at the Pentagon, the US Department of Defense made an unprecedented admission. It acknowledged that the videos taken by their fighter pilots of unidentified objects are real. So, if they're not ours, if they're probably not Russian or Chinese or any other potential adversaries, does that mean they're alien?
I think that we have to entertain that possibility.
Now, you realise that is just mind-blowing in its immensity. The implications of that are extraordinary. We're talking about the possibility of alien life visiting this planet.
It is, and it is mind-boggling. It's hard to process, it's hard to digest, and yet, as a matter of integrity, scientific integrity, we have to be able to look at the facts and follow them wherever they lead.
Where they lead us next is to this man.
My name is Luis Elizondo. I'm a former intelligence officer with the United States government.
For years, all lines of investigation led to him. The person the United States government put in charge of a secretive Pentagon unit called ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
What did you determine?
Well, I think it is very clear that our organization determined the reality of something is in our sky. We don't know what it is. We don't know how it works. We have no idea its intent and only seen some of its capabilities, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it right now. And I think that fact has been established, that this is a very real phenomenon. Now, what that phenomenon is still remains unknown.
But by definition, anything, any technology that is superior to yours in the American military is a threat, isn't it?
It is a potential threat, and for that reason, this is why it is a national security issue. If there is a technology that has somehow leapfrogged ahead of us, that has the capabilities that we're seeing, instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocities, low observability, trans-medium travel, and anti-gravity, and it has the ability to fly unimpeded over our controlled U.S. airspace at will, and there's nothing we can do about it, yes, that's a national security imperative. That is a problem. That is a potential threat.
If there is a threat to the US, and indeed to the world, it has been kept a very big secret for many, many years.
When we look at decades-long denials on the part of the U.S. government and military forces with regard to UFOs, they denied, they denied, they denied.
Then in December 2017, everything changed. One of the world's greatest newspapers, the New York Times, revealed the existence of a Pentagon unit secretly investigating UFOs. And even more extraordinary, it had the videos to prove it.
Saw this white oblong object, which he said looked like a tic tac, kind of zigzagging around over the surface of the water.
Leslie,
Yeah,
UFOs, real?
of course.
Leslie Keane was the journalist who broke the story after being let into secrets long buried by successive governments.
I mean, you were called and told to turn up, I think, to a hotel room somewhere in Washington,
Yeah,
D.C.
hotel lobby. It was a big meeting space in a lobby in
Who was
Washington.
there?
Chris Mellon was there, and of course the purpose of it was for me to meet Lou Elizondo, so he was there. I was shown these documents that blew my mind.
What were the primary revelations in that story that made people, probably for the first time, sit up and say, wow, UFOs are real?
Well, I think there were two. The first revelation was that there was a secret program within the Pentagon that had started in 2007 that had been studying these objects. So this had been for 10 years, secretly being studied. Now, you don't have a program studying UFOs if there's nothing to them. The second revelation was the Nimitz case that happened in 2004. There's a lot more to that case than we were able to report, but we got that case out there in the public.
On the day in question, November 14, 2004, the USS Nimitz was performing drills off the Southern Californian coastline ahead of deployment to the Persian Gulf. Another ship involved in the exercise was the USS Princeton. Manning the radar on board the Princeton was Kevin Day. For him, it was a very important day, a chance to play war games.
We were going to do high-fidelity air defense training. We launched the good guys off the Nimitz, launched the notional bad guys off the beach, and they go at it.
But it wasn't the bad guys appearing on his screen that caught his eye. Instead, a formation of unidentified flying objects.
I thought it was civilian related, and they didn't even know we were out there. The only reason why I became concerned with these is because of that air defense exercise. Captain comes down to comment, hey, sir, you know, we've been tracking these objects for days now. If we launch aircraft and we hit one of these, someone's going to ask you and me both why we were so damn curious.
That's a very persuasive argument. What did the captain say?
He looks at me sternly, you're right, senior chief. Intercepted VID, visually ID it, and Commander Fravor happened to be airborne. Top gun train guy.
And as he began to close the gap, the Tic Tac recognized and began to react to his movement.
It sees him, and he recognizes as a fighter pilot that it's engaging with him. And so he's spiraling down like this. It's coming up to him. And he's in a dogfight. And he screams out to his colleagues, I'm engaged! So it's intelligently responding.
It is
to his
absolutely intelligent responding
I
to
think
his
that's
actions.
that's very important, isn't it?
It is. Yeah,
It's not a dumb object.
correct. And it began to take evasive maneuvers to counter and maintain distance between his aircraft that was closing in, by the way, an F-18 at the time, Super Hornet, one of the most premier aircraft on the planet at the time. And this thing had no problem keeping pace.
You're seeing whatever this object was.
Yeah, I've seen it on radar.
So you're picking it up on radar at
I've
the
seen
time.
him do the intercept, and as soon as he's at the merge plat, that object went from 28,000 feet to the surface of the ocean in 0.78 seconds.
And then all of a sudden, bam, it's gone.
Bing! Disappears instantaneously.
5 seconds later, you can do the math, one of the radar operators radios into the F-18 and says, sir, you're not going to believe this, but the object is now waiting for you at your cap point.
The Cap Point was an aerial rendezvous point 60 miles away, known only to a handful of Navy personnel and pilots.
They go to their cap point. It's a secret. Nobody's meant to know this outside of the briefing room of the USS Nimitz. They get to the cap point, and what's there waiting for them? the Tic Tac. It's there. It's waiting for them. It knows they're coming.
The cap point, the meeting point in the air, you know, where the planes were going. So there's obviously some kind of intelligence there.
I've had people explain this to me, some of the fighter pilots involved and some of the defence officials who've investigated this. They've said that it's the fact that it was flagging to the most sophisticated, the most highly trained weapon systems in the American military. It's literally poking its tongue out at them. It's saying, I know you're there, I know where you're coming, your technology is hopeless against mine. It was showing its superiority to the most powerful country on earth. That was the decisive turning point for the US military.
The accelerations that were observed would destroy 5 or 10 times over any craft that we can design or build today.
No visible propulsion system.
No visible propulsion, no obvious signs of lift, no wings, no rudders, no control surface, no ailerons, no elevators, no cockpit, no rivets.
My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
There were radical maneuvers
But there's another thing.
that just are impossible for us to perform and to conceive of. I mean, we just don't know how anybody can do that. We just don't understand it.
There has been successive revelations, statements made by active and retired members of the intelligence community and military, the release of the 3 DoD videos, and the acknowledgement that the phenomenon is real.
It's back.
It's back, hovering literally straight above the vehicle. And then it comes down over here. What we saw was not of this world. I think I was a surprise to them.
And they didn't want her to talk about it.